Go.
Okay, good to go.
Can't hear you now. Oh yeah, go.
Off I go.
I can't hear you now. Oh yeah, cool.
Alright then dude. Right, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create the big blue button's little button, okay? So the main tutorial is going to be based around Dreamweaver and Photoshop, and we're going to create a button on a website that has a rollover, so when you hover the mouse over it in CSS it changes the image to look like a different state of a button, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is show you how to create the button using Photoshop. So I'll just share my screen with you guys, and I just want confirmation from you guys that you can actually see my screen, okay? Oh, I am showing the screen. Can you see my screen?
I can, yeah. You got feedback going on there. Well, you got visual feedback because you've got screen within a screen within a screen.
I know.
Within
It's
a
on
screen.
forever. Thursday, can you see the screen?
Okay.
Mr. Greg, or the eye is quicker apparently. Can you see the screen? Is Greg even around?
Yeah, he's typing.
I can.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well I'll begin then. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up Photoshop, and I'm going to create a new image. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I want you to make sure that you've got a transparent background, and that the resolution is 72. And then we're going to create a canvas of 250 pixels wide by 80 pixels high, and then just blast an OK on that one, and you get something a bit like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a button onto the screen. So I'm going to take this rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to I know exactly how big my canvas is, so I want to make sure my button is exactly the same size, or the same size that I need it for the actual canvas. Hello? It's you!
Oh.
I'll mute me.
Sorry.
Well, you can mute me.
I'll mute me.
Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to specify a width that every time I try and draw a rectangle, I'm going to get this confined fixed size, okay? So the way I got to that is click the rounded rectangle tool, and I went up to this arrow here and went to the further options, and I'm now going to make it, well, 240 by 30 pixels high, okay? I'm just going to click it there, and that's drawn the right size for our button. But obviously it's not in the right position for our button, so I'm just going to press, we'll go to Edit, Free Transform, and then I'm going to use these options up here to make sure it's centered at the top. So half of 250 is 125, and then a quarter of 80, so it's positioned in the top half of the image, is 20. Okay? So now we've got a centered button, and it's blue as well, which is good. Very topical. And I'm just going to hit enter, and that allows me to go ahead and draw another button. So now I'm going to do some writing over the top of that using the text tool, and it's going to say click me. And again we need to make sure that's central, so if I go to File or Edit and Free Transform, I can put it in exactly the same position as the button. So 125 by 20, and there we've got our first state for our button. Okay? So now what we're going to talk about is the idea of a sprite, and a sprite is one single image that contains every state of an animation. And in this case we're going to only have 2 frames for the animation. One is when the mouse is off the button, and the second is when the mouse is on the button. So in the bottom half of our JPEG here, we're going to actually draw another button, and we're going to make it look like how we want it to look when the mouse is over the top of it on our website. So I'm going to duplicate these layers. I'm going to hold shift down and click both layers, as you can see up here, and then right click on it and go to duplicate layers. I'm not going to change the names for a minute. You guys should when you're working professionally, but at the moment for the demo I'm just going to keep it as copy of, okay, up here. And now I need to reposition these so that they're actually just below that button. So I'm going to go into each layer, and I'm going to free transform them so that they're in a better position. Free transform, and I'm going to move them. The X position can stay the same, but we'll make this 60 now, so it sits exactly the opposite position on the lower half of the picture. And then I'm going to move the copy of, I've got to make sure that's enter 3. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other text. So I'm going to move that over 16. Okay, now we've got two states of the button, but they're both the same. So I'm just going to change a blending option on the shape of the bottom image to make it look like it's got something around it, like a stroke. So then you can get some visual feedback that the mouse is over the button. So in the blending options, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to put a stroke on it. And then I'm going to go into the settings of the stroke and change the colour to a darker blue, something a bit more, maybe a lighter blue. Let's go with that, I quite like that. Okay, it doesn't matter, it's just a demo, so I'm not trying to make it look too great at the moment. But there we have our image that we can load into our website with the two states of the button. And then what we're actually going to do is move it up and down to change the state of the picture. So I'll save this now, and in order to save it, make sure you go to File, Save for Web Devices, and because it's got transparency in it, we're going to save it as a PNG. Okay? There is no need for it to be 24-bit. You can, because it's a simple picture, you can have it at 8-bit PNG. But I'm going to leave it at 24 just for the ease of the demonstration. So save. And on my desktop, I've got a folder called BBB for Big Blue button, okay? And in there, at the moment, I've got these two files, which are my sample files from earlier. I'm going to delete them in a second and do them again. So I'm just going to call this button main, just so I know it's the right button that I've just created with you guys. To save. And now we can close down Photoshop. There's no need for us to have that. I'm going to say don't save on that. Don't save. And we're going to go into Dreamweaver. And I'm quickly going to... Now let's delete all that. Let's start again so you guys don't get confused at what I've done. I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to delete it. Ooh. Steady. Okay, can you guys still hear me? Cheeky. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go to File New and create a new web page. And for the purpose of the demonstration, I'm not going to go through all of what it's done here. All I'm going to do is change the title to the topic that I want to use. So BBB button, okay? And now all of our HTML goes in between the body tags. Tags are just, tags come in pairs. So once you open a tag, which is that one, you close the tag by using a /. Okay, I'm not going to go too in depth because this isn't a HTML tutorial. It is just a simple button tutorial. Sorry about the noise in the background. That's Julian being wrong. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the HTML to create a link. So a link is just an object on the screen that you can click to go to a different area on the web. And this link can take in... Sorry guys, I just hung up on Phil. That'll learn him, won't it? So a link is just as I said, you can click on it and go to another web page or another area on your website. So this link, or the link tags look like this is the opening tag, and this is the close tag, and then anything inside of this becomes clickable. So content to click goes in here, and I'll just show you that on the design view. You can see that now I've got on my web page something you can click and it'll go to a website. In order to get it to go to a website, you have to give it a href parameter, which I believe is hyperlink reference, and I'm going to make it go to Google, so www.com, and I'm actually going to take the content out because we're going to do everything else in CSS. Yeah. So in order to be able to link to it in CSS, we have to give it a name that we can relate to, or a name that we can actually reference in order to style this one object. And the way you do that is give it a parameter of an ID, and we're going to call this ID button. So there is everything we need now in the HTML in order to have a button that's clickable. The next thing we have to do is put in some style. Now, I'm hoping that you guys are familiar with CSS and HTML, because this is sort of a bit past that. We have to be a little bit aware of that. But in order to set up some styles inside of our web page, we type in this tag, and then we make sure that we always close the tag that we've opened, okay? So in here now we can do all our styles that we want, and I'm just going to use the ID selector, which is a hash symbol, to say that we're referencing an ID, and then I'm going to name the ID button, and then all of our styles go inside curly brackets, like that, okay? 10 minutes so far, no faster! Right, so I'll quickly, so now I'm going to show the way that we do the styles by, first off, we want to make it display block, and that just means that it shows the whole of the link, not just the text inside it. So the box around it is full size, and then we're going to make it width 250 pixels, and make sure you specify the pixels in this is really important, and height 40 pixels. And then we go background image equals, and we get this browse button here, just at this point here, which means we can browse to a file. And one thing you'll notice that is in the URL I've got this massive great link here, which isn't right. I should have a small link, and it's because I haven't saved it yet. So I'm going to save this as index.html in the file, and then go back and retype that colon, and that'll get me the predicted text. And now I've still got the bloody great, and we'll have to change that. There we go. You'll see that it's now just button main PNG, because they're in the same file together. And the background position of 0, 0. And the background position is how we're going to do the rollover. So that's everything we need now to make sure that we can see the click me button on our website instead of just a bit of text. And now we need to use pseudo selectors in order to allow the rollover to happen. And pseudo selectors are just actions for a selector. So if I type button and then type hover, that's the pseudo selector for when the mouse is over the button. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background position to move by 40 pixels in the y-axis, and that'll give us the impression of a button changing its state. And so that's the actual website finished. I've rushed it a little bit at the end because I know we're running out of time. But in order to test it, you just go up to this button here and preview in Firefox. Okay? And now you'll see that when I hover my mouse over, you get this button effect. Do you want to zoom in on that as well? There we go. Okay? So that's the big blue button's little blue button episode finished. So now I'm open to any questions that you might have. And I'm sorry it took so long. How long was it, Pete?
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Muted me.
22 minutes, you're joking. I thought it was going on, but...
15.
No, it's only about 15.
15 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, if that.
Probably, yeah, if that.
And obviously if this was a professional session, I would say, and on the learning space, there's the PDF handout of how to do this. Any questions? Or does anybody just want to fight?
Myself out there. Oh no.
You will now be placed into the conference.
I'm back. Am I? Hello? Am I back?
Hello? Oh. He's not, well, he has been around. It's about time for his cup of tea. He usually has about a cup of tea around about now. So, so he's probably on for that. It's okay, I can't blame him. How are you?
I'm fine.
You give? No.